How long will it take? How long will it take for all of this manufacturers to upgrade? What speed of time are we looking at?
No, it's only those new companies that are coming on board that need to go and get sophisticated technology and equipment to meet up that requirement. It's going to be as easier as it is before.
Okay.
You get my point. But now it's going to be a better thing.
All right, Chuks, let's look at building construction in relation to the economy. To what extent do you think that it has contributed to the growth of the Nigerian economy?
Yes, at the moment, let me say very sadly that the housing sector is not contributing its full potential to Nigerian GDP. And the reason is very simple. Housing deficit in Nigeria alone, if you quantify the cost of this housing deficit in Nigeria and add to the GDP, because GDP is the total value of goods, services that are produced in Nigeria. And the way it is now, housing sector is contributing very, very minimally, to this GDP. So imagine if in every state of this country, housing is going on. Imagine the volume of funds that will be involved and the contribution to the GDP. So for me, the current GDP is about 6.something%, taking together every sector of the economy. And I'm sure if the housing sector is running at a full-fledged, it won't be out of place to say they can add up to 2% to the GDP of the country, So for me, the housing sector is a critical sector of the economy. Apart from other things, it provides massive employment for the youth of this country. And I think that if the housing sector, the way it's being driven now by the current government within different initiatives at different levels, if you put it together, I'm sure the GDP of this country will go up a bit by the housing sector contribution.
Okay. I know that right now we're going into the new fiscal year. The budget has been presented to the National Assembly by the President too. I know that the details will be made available later when that document is made public. But in the past, how do you think that the allocation for the building industry or the housing sector, as the case may be, or even the Ministry of Works has been, the allocation to these ministries to aid building construction in the country? How would you assess it?
No, you see, in the immediate past, the Ministry of Works, which is different from Ministry of Housing, there are two different ministries. The Ministry of Works is responsible for major infrastructure like roads, construction, bridges and dams, and things like that. Obviously, you need to give them money to put this infrastructure in place. For the housing sector, the Nigerian government has over time tried to, disinvest from direct construction of buildings in this country. And they're looking at bringing in the private sector to drive this industry. So in that sense, not much allocation has been given to the building industry in terms of the budget. Because if government is not involved in direct construction of buildings for the country, so what do they need money for actually? Apart from administrative costs for the ministry. So this is the challenge we have in this industry.
Okay, Adegoke, the issue of employment generation, job creation, because you talked about that the artisans that we're using in Nigeria are from other countries, our neighboring states. How is the construction sector or the building sector helping to create jobs, even for our own citizens?
Well, the construction industry can create a lot of jobs, provided we have enough funds to run construction projects. For example, the issue of bank rates today is affecting construction generally. Real estate industry, if you look at about 6, 7, 8 years ago, was more or less, enjoying a lot of boost from the banking industry when the PMIs are engaging in construction. You get what I'm talking about? But today, they are not part of the process again. And the policy being put in place for the bank to finance construction projects has been a bottleneck for now, because you cannot expect 23 to 25% interest rates on about 100 million naira on a project to run smoothly and deliver. No, the project will crash. So one of the major issues we're having today is funding. If there is enough fund, there's supposed to be an institution that will fund construction projects directly with little interest rates, not less than 1 digit. Anything more than 1 digit, we enter into problems.
So just like we're getting in the agriculture sector, where there's special purpose vehicles, to allow funding, access to funding.
Yeah, that's good.
So you need that for the building construction sector.
Of course, industry has something of that nature.
I think a lot is being done in terms of the artisans and craftsmen in this country, because if you ask me, I think it's a thing of shame that Nigeria with so much population we have to go out there to import artisans. The government recently have been involving the training of artisans all over the country. I think the thing to think after that is engagement of these artisans. But yes, we are doing a lot of training. Even my institute, Nigerian Institute of Building, we had a lot of training for artisans in partnership with the government. Shopee is funding a lot of training program for artisans. But the question I keep asking is, if you train these artisans and there are no jobs for them to be engaged in, what is the use of these artisans? So I think government needs to empower the local contractors in this country. Let us empower our people in terms of housing provision. But the point, like he has said, is the issue of funding. Funding has been a challenge in the housing industry because most of the funds available to the banks are short-term funds. And you cannot put these short-term funds for a long-term project, which housing estate is all about. So if you do that, you are going to run into a problem. But the thing is, funding has been a very, very critical issue.
Okay, Adegoke, do we have competitions among our local contractors and foreign players in the country? And how is that affecting the growth of this industry?
The competition, I would say, is quite unhealthy because we have a lot of qualified professionals within the construction industry in Nigeria today. We have sufficient to handle any project. But because of the issue of patronage of the government, the foreign investors and foreign firms, a lot of professionals in-house in Nigeria have been downplayed today. Because you see many government projects, you see foreigners taking up. I think I was on projects, one project in Kogi State, very massive project. You see over 3,000 Indians on a single site on project. That is quite unhealthy. Even the labor law shouldn't allow that. That you bring in, all professionals from outside the country to Nigeria to come and take over our job, while we have a lot of youths who are unemployed. So the issue of government, we're having a lot of professionals that are qualified to handle the job, but it's just for the government to regulate it in a way that no professional will come to do any engineering work or construction work in Nigeria, except we do not have such professional in Nigeria. If that law is not in place, or if it's in place, it's not been implemented, definitely we are not making progress.
Do you think you have such laws in place to protect our citizens?
Yes.
Because that seems to be an issue, not just in the construction sector, but in many other
areas of
the economy where we're having foreigners coming to do the job that we can do.
Yeah, I think basically Nigeria is in the process of evolving. And I think that this government and individuals have opened up this country in a way that we can talk about what is happening. The issue of a local content is happening everywhere. In the oil and gas sector, even in the construction industry, we are talking about local content. And this local content, if it eventually comes on board in the industry, what you are saying is, except the specialization that's not existing in this country, you can't bring in a foreigner. And that's why it obtains everywhere, all over the world. The local professionals and local professionals must be protected. Must be protected, except a project is so massive that we think we don't have enough capacity to do it. That's when you bring in the foreigner. But the way it is now, I'm not even against that, because if you have these foreigners coming in and you tie them up with the local professionals, we can transfer technology by that process. But the challenge is that most of these projects are done without involving professionals as partners, or most of them.
All right, we have more tweets coming in. Let me just read out this one before we wrap up the show. And it's saying that a two-story building being built on a foundation of a 6-story building. After 10 years, 4 more stories are added. And is this not a risk to collapse?
It's a very serious risk. You see, even after building a structure, let's say to a certain floor, let's say 2nd floor or 3rd floor, and you leave that building for more than a year or 2, you know there are so many impacts affecting that structure negatively. Once a building is designed to attain certain floors, that building should be completed within a certain period of time, meant for that project. But otherwise, it's a risk.
Can there be a situation where someone plans to build maybe 3-story building and just has the money to just build one for now? Do you think that such a person can now, maybe years later, increase it, that even after the foundation can accommodate and can carry 3-story building?
If it has been planned
to
take such long time, there's a procedure in place to ensure that the building structures is being protected.
Okay, Chuks, you want to talk more about the procedures before we wrap up?
Yes, what you normally expect is that if you leave your foundation or you've been in for a long time, need to carry an necessary test, integrity test, to give you assurance that this building can still carry what it's designed for.
All right. I think at this point, I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, for coming on Business Morning. We've been talking to Adegoke Alani. He is a building expert, and Chuks Omeife is the past president of the Nigeria Institute of Building, and we've been talking about the Nigerian building and construction sector. Thank you once again for coming on the show. And I want to thank Sonny for sending in his tweets. We do appreciate your time as well with us, and other viewers who were not able to send in the comments. Thank you so much for spending time with us on Business Morning. I am Bolaji Akinwale.